Yep.
Yeah, you did. It is the 6th of January, Rabbi Furst, Parsha Hashavua Vayechi. Oh, sorry.
Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Shabbos Parshas Vayechi Shalosh Tov Pei Gimel, and direct your attention to the psukim beginning here. A second. And we'll start with by Revi. That's Parshas Mem Test 49. We'll start with the first pasuk there. See some Rashis. We'll proceed further. Right?
Mem Tes Aleph.
Yes.
Mem Tes. Is that Yikra Yaakov El Benov?
Yes, that's right. Would you like to read Roy a bit?
Beg your pardon?
Would you like to read a bit?
Only if Lou wants to have a rest, otherwise I'm quite happy for him to struggle on.
Oh, I'm quite happy to have a rest.
You would, wouldn't you? All right. Excuse me. Vayikra Yaakov El Benov Vayomer Ha'asapu Va'agira Lachem Eis Asher Yikra Et Esechem Va'acharis Hayomim. And Yaakov called to his sons and said, "Gather yourselves together that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the remoteness of days." Do I go to the next one, or do you want to just stay with this?
Now let's see Rashi.
Rashi, okay. What about 14? Rashi, Vanira Lechem, that I may tell you. Excuse me. He wished to reveal to them the end of Israel's exile, but the Shekhinah departed from him, and he began to speak of other things.
Oh, let's stop for a moment.
That's all that I've got here with Rashi.
Right. So, according to Rashi, what was the kavanah of Yaakov in calling out all his sons together? He wanted to tell them when it's going to be the end of this. They knew they were in Gullus now. They knew that they were in Mitzrayim, they're out of their land, Eretz Canaan. So he wanted to tell them what's going to be and when it's going to be the end.
What does it mean, Vayikra? And he called?
Right.
What does that mean? What does and he called mean? Did he say, look, like sort of, come here, or he didn't? It's not Vayomer.
Usually they make a distinction between the words V'yomer and V'ikra. V'ikra is more of a harsh calling, speaking to, rather than the V'yomer is more of a soft, less aggressive type of a statement. That you see by Matan Torah. Hebrew, there's Hebrew also. in there. Um, you have the whole Sefer Vayikra, which is starting off with that word.
The young man. And he said, he called and
Actually-
he said,
Yeah, actually, you could, if you want, if you have a chumash that has Vayikra, Sefer Vayikra in it, take a look at the first Rashi. There is important. That's going to tell you that's going to be the tip off over here. You have a Vayikra by you. The chumash Vayikra there, Roy.
I've got to go and get it. Excuse me.
Very first verse in chumash Vayikra is Vayikra.
Okay, I've got the Yukra,
Okay.
Rashi, it's all Rashi.
Okay. Take a look at the first pasuk there.
Uh-huh.
And we'll see, I'll direct you to the Rashi I want you to see there.
The first pasuk. Where is it? The first pasuk. Vayikra el Moshe v'yedaber Hashem elov Mochel Mover Lamar. Is that what you want?
That's right.
Right. And the Eternal called unto Moshe and spoke to him out of the appointed tent, saying, and Rashi says, Vayikra el Moshe, and the Lord called unto Moses. All oral communications of the Lord to Moshe, whether they are introduced by Daber or by Omer or by Tzav, were preceded by a call to preparing for the forthcoming address, says Sifra. It is a way of expressing affection.
Oh, there you are. Right.
Yeah.
But that expression of Vayikra, it's an expression of calling to a person with the affection involved.
It goes on and says the mode used by the ministering angels when addressing each other, as it is said in Isaiah 6:3, and one called unto the other and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. To the prophets of the nations of the world, however, God revealed himself in a manner which Scripture describes as an expression ordinarily used for denoting events or casual character and of uncleanliness, as it is said in Numbers 23:4, and God happened to meet Vayikra Balaam. The term Vayikra from the root Korah is connected with Mekere, which denotes chance or occurrence, and has also the meaning of uncleanliness by analogy with Deuteronomy 23:11. Lo yehi meyu mikro leila, which we are compared with the Genesis and the Leviticus reference. And it says, Vayikra el Moshe, and he called unto Moshe. This implies that the voice, this is a long Rashi. Do you want me to read it all?
That's right. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, see you next year. So this implies that the voice went on, with capital V, voice went on and reached Moshe's ears only, but all the other nations did not hear it. One might think that for the subsections there would also be such a call. It, however, states, and the Lord called unto Moshe and spake Vayedaber to him, thus imitating that Daber, a complete section, had or was preceded by a call. Example, in our text chapters 1 to 4, chapters 1 to 4, but not in the subsections. And what purpose did these subsections serve? That is, why are the larger sections broken up by smaller ones? To give Moshe an interval for reflection between one division and another, and between one subject and another, something which is all the more necessary for an ordinary man receiving instructions from an ordinary man, says Sifra. A love to him, this is intended to exclude Aaron. Rabbi Yehuda said, 13 communications in the Torah are stated according to the wording of the text to have been spoken to Moshe and Aaron together, but corresponding to these are 13 which include expressions with a limitative force to teach you that they were spoken not to Aaron but to Moshe only, with a view that he should communicate them to Aaron. That the following are the 13 limitations. Will I read those through?
No, it's okay.
All right.
We don't need the example. You don't need an example.
Okay.
So basically, yeah, the expression v'ikra, when it's known to be in reference to a person who there's a relationship with, so it's an expression which shows endearment, right? In the way that you're addressing him, the way you're calling out to him. So that would be the same here by Yaakov Avinu. Obviously, to his sons, there's great love and endearment that Yaakov Avinu had to all his sons. Okay. Good. So let's return now. So Rashi said originally that Yaakov Avinu called his sons together because he wanted to tell them what was going to be Achros HaYomim in the cake. But what happened? In Stalka Memeno Shkina, but the Shkina left him. The Shkina HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for some reason, wasn't interested in Yaakov Avinu revealing the gates to his sons. So the Shkina withdrew, and he started speaking about other things. What? Excuse me?
Sorry. Is there a difference between the Shekhinah and Hashem?
Not really. No, I mean it means that the Shekhinah is the presence of a Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Mm.
Basically a reference to a Kadosh Baruch
Mhm.
Hu. So the question is, what caused the Histatlus Shekhinah? Right? What caused that the Shekhinah to withdraw from Yaakov Avinu?
As I understand it from previously, previous years and that Yaakov was about to reveal something that to his sons that was only supposed to be for himself. And he wasn't supposed to foretell the future, which is what he would have been doing.
Is that because there's something wrong in telling the future to people?
Basically, I think it probably is because you may precipitate something which you don't know is in the future. That is not good because you prompted that action in somebody. So if I sort of said, "Oh, if you cross over that road tonight, you're going to be run over, so you're not going to go around to that road. You'll go somewhere else and maybe cause a greater disaster."
Right. What you're saying is reminding me of the mice with Shlomo Melech. I forget. It must be a medrash. Must be a medrash. You know, someone came to Shlomo Melech and he asked him to teach him the conversations of the birds, to know how to understand what the birds are saying. And Shlomo Melech said, it's not to your benefit to know these things. Obviously, since they speak a different language than us and we don't understand it, it's not to our advantage to know these things. But he insisted. So finally, Shlomo Melech taught him what the birds, how to understand the birds. And, to make a long story short, not because I don't want to, because I want to save time, but since I forgot the whole story, he got himself into big trouble, very, very big trouble. And
yes, I remember that.
Yeah, I forgot exactly. Must be. Well, I'm sure it's a medrash. Have to look it up to find it. But it's just a lesson that there are things that we're not supposed to know, and not everything you're able to find out about you're supposed to know about. Not everything you're supposed to, and not everything that you can see you're supposed to look at. Right? Not everything that you think you're supposed to say. Not everything you say you're supposed to write. There are limitations. Persons should realize that there are limitations, and that just because you have the ability to do something doesn't mean you should do it. Right? You have to understand. So the Chazal, Chazal in this is the Alta Shmoni bring down a mashal. Mashal Lama. This what Yaakov Avinu was doing was a similar to a analogous to an Evid, an Evid, and Jaminu Amelech Al Komash Yeshlo. So there was a king. There was a king that had a slave, a servant, and the servant was trusted implicitly by the king. The king trusted the Eved implicitly, right? And it came time for that Eved to die. So that Eved called Karl Abanav. He called his sons to his bedside, Ubikish la Sosan b'nei Chorin, and he wanted to make his sons free. He wanted to free his sons. So I have this Eved of the king, the slave of the king, and he was entrusted and dear to the king. And now the king's Eved was about to pass from this world. So one of the last things he wanted to do in this world was to free his sons, that they shouldn't be slaves like he lived his life out as a slave. Tiki Shalahem, Oni Shalahem, Yudea Melech, Malamen, that the slave said to his sons that tell me where your documents are, and I'm going to free you. And this idea of the Eved to free his sons was made known to the king, right?
Mhm.
So as he was about to do this to free his sons, Nasa Eved Einav, the Eved lifted up his eyes. He saw the king. The king was there, just as he was about to free his sons. So when the Eved saw that the king was there, just as he was about to free his own sons, he changed from what he was about to do to free his sons and said, listen, you know that you are all the slaves of the king. So you're all slaves of the king. Likewise, you should serve and honor the king just like I served and honored the king the whole of my life as well. So, Kach Yaakov, likewise Yaakov Avinu, he came to Galus one of a Kates. So Yaakov Avinu wanted to reveal to his children the Kates, the end of their Galus exile in Egypt. And immediately HaKadosh Baruch Hu became revealed to him. So, Amalei Binecha Ata Kar Vali Ata Kor. So, Yaakovina, when he saw that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu was now there in his presence, right? He changed. And he started talking about, as Rashi says, he began with other things. One second.
It doesn't answer why though, it just says what happened, but not why.
Right. It doesn't go into the why. It doesn't say why he wanted to do this. Right?
Mm. Mm. Right. Mm.
All right. So there's another shot that they Yaakov Avinu, when the as Rashi says, the Shekhinah, when he started to do this and he saw that the Shekhinah had left him, Nisdalak Ameno Shkina Rahas V'Sholom Hashem Yesh Pasul Bezori Ka'Abraham Avi Abba Uka'Abba. It says Yaakov Avinu said he saw that Hashem, so to speak, had left him as he was about to reveal the gates to his sons. So Has V'Sholom, maybe there is a soul amongst my children, like Abraham Avinu. Abraham Avinu had Ishmael, Ka'aba, maybe like my father, like Yitzchak, that he had Esav. So that's why they said, as Rashi brings down, as another Rashi coming up, they said to him, no, Shema Yisrael, Shem Elokeinu, Shem Echad, right? That Avinu, that we are all kosher v'yasher, and there's no pasul amongst us. That's where Rashi says. Yeah, Rashi brings that another place. And so, therefore, instead, what did Yaakov Avinu do? He gave them brachas. He gave all his children brachas. Each and every one of his children gave brachas. Now, if you go back at the beginning, toward the beginning of the Parsha, he gave brachas to the sons of Yosef, right? Remember that? That is in Pasuk. That's in Parsha Mem Ches 48. Pasuk Hey. Pasuk Hey. Right. Yaakov Avinu's brachas to all his children, right? They included some things which we call tochacha, right? And we mentioned this before, that sometimes tochacha can be more valuable to a person than a bracha. A bracha is basically a indication from one person to another person, that virtue, that aspect of his personality or his behavior, which is advantageous, he's highlighting that particular behavior or trait, and in order that the person should be able to focus on that trait or that behavior and reinforce it and make the most of the potential that there is within that particular trait or behavior. Now, tochacha, right? Because if you look, take a look in the what's said to Ruvain, right? Take a look there. That's in Mem Tes.
We're looking where? Mem Tes where?
Pasuk Dalet. Pasuk Dalet.
Isn't it Gimel?
Starts with Gimel. You can start with Gimel if you want.
Mem. Sorry, we're still in Vayechi.
Yes.
Mem tes. That's just where mem ches. Bill mem ches. Mem tes. Dalad, is it?
Yeah.
Oh. Where is it? Oh yeah, I forgot it. Is that Pachaz Kamayim? Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah. Lou, would you like to do a bit of work? Nah.
Sure. I'll be
Mhm.
happy to. All right, Pasuk 3, Reuven b'chari ata ochi b'reshis oni yeser se'es v'yeser az. Reuven, my firstborn, you are the strength and the first of my vigor.
Right.
Greater se'es, greater in something and greater in strength. What is se'es?
Ace is mean like his what he can carry, what he can bear.
The dignity I've got here.
Okay.
Okay. Weiter. Pachaz ka mayim al tosar ki lisa mishkevei avicha az chilalata yitzui Allah. Okay, so pachaz, unstable as water, do not take more, because you went up on the bed of your father. Then you desecrated who went upon my couch.
That was the Parsha with Billah.
I'm sorry, what?
That was the Parsha with Billah that took place in Parshas Vayishlach.
Right.
Now, if you have a Devarim, you have a Chumash Devarim with Rashi volume.
Devarim. What pasuk? What chapter?
Chapter Aleph, Pasuk Gimel.
Aleph Gimel. Aleph Gimel. Vayechi be'arba'im shana be'ashtei asar chodesh be'echad lachodesh Diber Moshe el b'nei Yisrael b'kichol asher tiva Hashem oso alehem. Now it was in the 40th year, in the 11th month, on the first of the month, Moses spoke to the Bnei Israel according with everything that Hashem commanded him concerning them. Okay, Rashi on 3. It was in the 40th year in the 11th month on the first of the month. This teaches us that Moshe did not rebuke them except immediately before his death. From whom did he learn to do this? From Yaakov. For he did not rebuke his sons except immediately before his death. He said, Reuben, my son, I am telling you why I did not rebuke you all these years. It was so that you should not leave me and join up with Esau, my brother. Because of 4 things, we do not rebuke a person except immediately before death. So that he should not rebuke him and then rebuke him again, so that his friend should not see him and be embarrassed in front of him. As stated in Sifri, and similarly, Joshua did not rebuke Israel except immediately before his death. And similarly, Shmuel, as it says, here I am, testify against me. And similarly, David, regarding Shlomo, his son.
Right. So here Rashi says, you see, clearly Rashi says that Yaakov Avinu said to Reuven, his son, why didn't I rebuke all these years? Because had you rebuked him, Yaakov Avinu was afraid that Reuven would leave Yaakov and run off to Esau. Pretty strange thing there that Reuven would okay, even if he would leave Yaakov Avinu, but to run off to Esau, of all people to go and visit and join up with Esau, one of the
If he's going to run theoretically, if he's going to run away from being rebuked, that means that his character is such that he might want to do some sort of revenge and therefore go with Esau. But he wasn't like that.
And Yaakov Avinu really suspected that in Reuven?
He was uncertain, perhaps. He was he knew there were possibilities of all sorts of things happening. So he was a bit unsure of himself, perhaps.
Right. So to follow up on what you're saying, to understand it a little more deeply, we have to understand what was the tochacha and the consequences of the tochacha. Reuven already, we know Reuven was the Bechor and he lost the Bechor. Since he was the Bechor, he was also supposed to be the Kohen, right? He lost the Kohen. And he was also, since he was the Bechor, he was supposed to be the king, the Melech. So he lost that too. We see someone that is the personage of Esav that also lost out. He was Mevazed Bechora. He lost being the Bechor. He said, as Rashi explains in Parshas, told us he didn't want to have anything to do with the Avoda. He didn't want to be involved with being a Kohen. And neither was he capable of being a king. So a person that Reuven could relate to, meaning a complete failure, would be Esav. Esav being a complete failure. So Reuven could conceivably join up with Esav. And that's what Yaakov Avinu was afraid of. He was concerned for that. Because the Tochacha was going to reveal to Reuven the true reasons why he lost being the Bechor, why he lost being the Kohen, and why he lost being the king. And it would have been very difficult to hear that. I mean, Reuven already knew that he lost the Kun, he lost the Malchus, and he lost the Bechor. He knew that already. But to hear from Yaakov Avinu the exact reason why he lost that might have been too much to take. That would be a very big obligation to try and correct that, right? Try and correct that, knowing what the reason would be, that would require a person now to try and take corrective measures. That was very, very difficult to say. So Yaakov Avinu was worried about revealing that to Reuben.
So what's different now?
Oh, so well, that's a little bit what Rashi explains there in Devarim. At the end of his life, right? At the end of his life, so there wouldn't be that constant reminder of having Yaakov Avinu there, right? That's what Rashi says. There are 4 reasons. I think Rashi only brings down 2 of the 4 reasons why a person should give tochacha close to the time they're going to pass from this world, right? And one is that it's very difficult to meet up with if a person has received tochacha, to face that person who gave you the tochacha. It's very difficult to face him. It's very difficult to face him. So if he's going to leave you, then you're just left with your thoughts, and you're left with the tshuva that you have to do. You're not continually embarrassed by having to confront the person who gave you the tochacha. So tochacha will be more effective if it's given when you don't have to face that person who's giving you the tochacha again and again and again. So any time that you personally, anytime you have to speak to somebody about making improvements or about mistakes that have been made, have to do it in a very careful way. That's not going to make the matters worse. Sometimes people think, even though they may be right, in what they want to say, and the other person might be clearly wrong. But sometimes trying to give tochacha to people may make the situation worse. People have a tendency to be in denial. Well, even if they're confronted with something wrong, you ever try and confront a child with, he asked him, who took the chocolate chip cookies out of the cookie jar? He says, not me. That's his first reaction, not me, right? So now, it may not have been such a bad thing taking the cookies out of the cookie jar, but now you taught the child to lie, right? If you want to educate the child and say that he should ask for something like that, you don't ask them the question, who took the cookies out of the cookie jar, when you know perfectly well that he was the one who did it. You come to him nicely, quietly, calmly, say, listen, I know you must like grandma's cookies very much, and I know you enjoy them. Next time you should ask. It's polite to ask, and look, we'll be happy to give you cookies. But it's important that you learn how to ask nicely with derech eretz. If you want something, yes, please, can I have a few cookies from the cookie jar, and we'll be happy to give you. Now you've taught the child to do something positive. Whereas if you just confront him with an open question that he's about and most assuredly going to deny, so now all you've taught him is to lie, which is not going to help him much in life anyway. So tochacha is a very important thing, and as they say, it's better to get sometimes tochacha than get a bracha, because the bracha will point out your virtues, what you're good at, what you can read. But tochacha can direct the person in working on what he needs to improve upon. Sometimes that's needed more than reinforcing the good aspects of a person's personality and behavior. Sometimes tochacha is more effective in terms of the long run in having a person improve himself. Okay, that's about our time. Mitzvah Shem. I guess we'll see each other Be'ezer Hashem after Shabbos. Everyone should have a good Shabbos, and hope to see you Yom Rishon.
All right, thank you very much, Rabbi. You have a good Shabbos, you and your family. Be warm, dry, and well fed, both with food and Torah.
Amen. Thank you. You too as well, Mitzvah Shem. Enjoy all your Shabbos preparations and the Shabbos as well. And
thank you.
See you as well, Mitzvah Shem. Lou, have a good Shabbos, and see you all next week, Mitzvah Shem.
I want to let you know, Rabbi, that on Sunday morning, I have an appointment with the eye doctor at 8. I don't know how long it's going to take, so I don't know exactly when I'll arrive.
Okay, very good. You could send me an email if you when you know any more information. But otherwise, I'll start the Zoom on Sunday, Mitzvah Shem.
All right, thank you. Have a good
See you
job.
Okay, very good.
See you later, Lou.
Okay, Roy. See you in a few minutes.